Let's go. Tall Boy Radio Show. Voices loud, you know, feeling that late night flow. Stories flowing fast, riding on this broadcast. Memories, they will last. Raise your glass up high. Turn it up, it's time. Tall Boy on the line. Memories, they will last. Raise your...
Welcome back to episode 261 of the Tall Boy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, it flows this week without a guest who has unfortunately been unable to join us as she has a heavy head cold, as many of us do this time of year. And I'll apologize for a little extra bass in my voice because I also have one. But never fear, we are here with plenty to talk about. And to my left, although this is episode 261, very special episode for you.
Okay. It must be my 200th episode.
200 episodes.
There we go. Happy birthday to me. 200 today.
I know. Impressive, eh, dude?
Yeah. I mean, we said it before, you know, or those many moons ago when you started initially your podcast, and then we had various iterations of this podcast. Who'd have thought, you know, 4 or 5 years later, whatever it is, you know, we still be going. But yeah, look forward to it every time we record, whether it's a guest or whether it's just us guys. You know me, I'm always up for a good chat.
Indeed, but 200 episodes, I think, is impressive, dude. So I was hoping to celebrate with Vicky tonight, who should have been joining us to talk about ADHD. So if you were tuning in tonight, wanting to hear some information about ADHD, don't worry. We'll get that one organised. Twice now we've tried to get this one on the can. And Stephen, who joined us a couple of weeks ago, reached out to us and he wants to talk about So we will apologise for issues with the signal, which we seem to have had the last couple of weeks. So we've dipped in and out. You've had a few pauses. Hopefully there won't be too much of us. Unfortunately, normally you can actually tell by the bemused look on the guest's face. This week we're just going to have to wing it and hope that it turns out okay. So what's happened this week? With Dave being off, Dave's off taking a short break from the podcast. I think we can comfortably talk about Donald Trump and not have to worry about then me having to email a load of people apologizing the next day when they complain about his harsh words.
It was relatively humorous when we did the last episode and we were talking about Trump, and I can't remember in what context it was. And then we got loads of messages afterwards from our American guests, friends, and well wishers.
Some English ones as well.
Well, yeah. And basically, so I say complaining about Dave. Well, yeah, they weren't choppy with some of the things he had to say. So I think we're Dave free tonight, as they say. So I think we're all good. To be fair, what's your thoughts on Trump then and his first few days in office?
Well, here's the thing. So, all like you said, all of our American friends, I don't know any of them that were pro Harris or pro Biden. They were all pro Trump. So, which is why Dave managed to offend such a large sway of our listenership. Now, I'm not Trump's biggest fan, if I'm honest. I recognize what he's done for their economy, and I understand why he's popular. And like I said, I spent a little time in the States in September, and I saw a lot of support for Trump. I didn't see any for Harris. And speaking to people, I spoke to a number of people, not naming any names, but you know, they were keen not to have Harris in. You know, women as well. You know, you'd have thought like the first female president could have, you know, maybe got some support. But no, everybody wanted Trump because they had a vested interest in the economy doing well.
Yeah.
And that's the vision of what Trump brings. This is what he brought last time. And love him or hate him, and a lot of people do hate him, as we have seen. And I suspect this time, you know, if you hated him last time, you're probably going to hate him a little bit more. Because last time, he probably had to temper what he had to say a little. Not that he did often. Temper what he had to say and the actions that he took, because he was conscious that he wanted a second term in office. This time he can't have one because the statute of limitations, or whatever they call it, you can only have 2 visits to the White House, and this is his last one, regardless of how it ends.
I'm just curious, look, from an outsider looking in, it appears as though Trump he's a doer. Yeah, he talks a massive amount of horseshit, but actually, in a way, he's got actions that sort of back that up as well. And from an outsider looking in, he says he's going to do something, and then he'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, like that or loathe that, you can't fault the guy in terms of the action that he's putting forward. And actually, you can agree or disagree with his philosophies, with his politics, with his thoughts, but actually, the sense that I get is that he's massively sort of convinced, and he's got a real truth of his own conviction. He will do it, and he absolutely believes that that's the right thing to do. And you know what? Okay, it's his way or no way in his eyes, but in his eyes, it's the right way. So therefore, I'm going to do it. And within the first couple of days, he's however many this sort of laws or whatever it is that he's sort of said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Statutes, yeah, this is what and he's like ripping stuff up and literally just ripping stuff up. And whether you think that's a good thing or bad thing, I suppose proof will be in the pudding. But I think the key thing for many people in many countries in around the world, if you've got more money in your pocket, you generally are a happier person. And there's only so many very basic levels that humans can be happy on. Can be happy emotionally, but being financially stable and able to live a particular style of life means that actually you can then start to think about all the other things, like your immigration, like your gas and your oil and everything else. But ultimately, if you haven't got the money in your pocket, you're only really worried about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what Trump's doing is he's trying to put more money in people's pockets. And look, you can turn around and look at the lobbyists in terms of the big sort of gun rallies, the big the big industries, the big corps and all that, and where the money gets. But ultimately, if you've got a populace of people that have more money in their pocket, they're probably more likely to be happier than not, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and when you talk about like big industry, the day of his inauguration, as he signed in there, 3 of the richest men in the world were sat there watching him. So,
and interestingly, one potentially threw an inappropriate sign or gesture out there, which he's claiming isn't what it looked like. But we'll wait and see how that plays out.
Didn't look good.
It didn't look good. No,
no. God bless him. But no, I know. I totally agree. In terms of getting stuff done, I mean, he got, like you say, right from the offing where he'd sort of said, I'm going to be dealing with immigration day one, sat down there, signing in at 11 a.m. The first statute he signed was related to the border in Mexico, wasn't it? And there was people who had appointments booked at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock that day about legal immigration from Mexico to States. Their appointments were cancelled off the back of his actions. So he's been in there minute one, not taking any prisoners.
Yeah, and
he did.
Wrong turn of phrase.
Bad choice of words.
Yeah, choose your phrase carefully. But again, it just goes back to that courage of his conviction, and it's almost like, if I'm going to do it, then I might as well can do it now instead of waiting. I'll do it now, and then we'll get it through, and we'll push it through, and we'll do it in a week, a month, 6 months, a year, whatever. He's like, no, this is happening. And it's happening now. And actually, if then, down the line, something happens, then we'll deal with the consequences down the line. But actually, I've got the courage of my convictions. We're going to do it. And I say, whether you agree or disagree with, with his politics and his philosophy, and almost whether you like him as a person or not, in a way, you can't argue with his go get them sort of attitude. And look, he's been a very successful.
Again, an interesting choice of words.
Apologies. He's been a very successful businessman, still is a very successful businessman. So is very used to effectively getting his own way. He's obviously very shrewd in the decisions that he makes. You don't become a very successful businessman by making poor decisions, or certainly having people around you that allow you to make poor decisions. And I think if you surround yourself with the right people and you are more informed, generally make more informed decisions. And I can't argue with I can argue with what he's doing. I can't really argue about the way he's going about it because that's just what it's like.
No, I totally agree with you. So one of the things that I know Kim took a little bit of umbrage with, and I kind of see where she's coming from. And I must admit, there's a few things there I saw that I didn't necessarily like myself. These pardons. So obviously, if you look at Biden, who pardoned his son already anyway, and then made some preemptive pardons, which we'll get to in a minute. And then Trump himself pardoning plenty of people who were involved in that skirmish or insurrection, whatever you want to call it, 4 years ago. And he said he was I'm going to pardon a lot of people, as he put it in the way that he likes to.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I don't really know where I lie on that. I don't know how I feel about that. I can understand if genuinely felt as though the people committed whatever they committed, and you felt as though they were genuinely in the wrong. I think ultimately you have to abide by the law at the time. Yeah. And you can go back and say, well, actually, now due to current technology or whatever, that guy shouldn't have been this, and that guy shouldn't have been that, or this person should have done this, shouldn't have. And I get that, but you can only act and only respond to the law of the land at the time. And at the time, they were committed offences and they committed crimes, and therefore, they should have paid for that. And now Trump's come along and gone, nah, they're all right. I think the thing for me is, people lost their lives in that, and people lost their lives, and therefore the people that potential, and I'm not suggesting for 1 minute before I get sued or anything else, there's, someone's openly committed murder out there and is getting away with it as such. But in that sort of insurrection, melee, whatever it was, there were people that were hurt quite badly in that. So that's a little bit of a kick in the teeth for those people. But there was a documentary and I'd just seen it advertised, and I'm sure it was a guy that was one of the leaders of that, whatever you call it, like insurrection, if that's even the right word. And I'd be interested to see what it's like, because obviously, was it 4 years down the line, they've obviously done the filming and filmed this guy for a period of time, and now all of a sudden it's like now back in the limelight. You're like, oh right, okay. I wonder what they are going to show, because it makes me wonder when you look at these documentaries, like, and for our American listeners, apologies, but so there was something on a series on was it Sky Atlantic? So there was the effect, the series, the dramatized series, and then there was a real documentary. And the fact that they were saying, nothing was ever been released, there's this still question, and there's still this question, and there's still this question, and what about this link? And you're like, I suppose, have you got to be pretty careful about actually what you put out there, because it isn't solved effectively. There was no, there are still questions out there. And I suppose it's the same in America in terms of, the storm in the White House and all of that. There will still be questions being asked about that. So to put something out there that potentially will then question that is a bit like, ooh, okay. And the fact that now Trump's got back in and has pardoned all those people just makes it time. And I think, ooh, okay, I'm not sure about that.
I know what you say. Yeah. So I watched the documentary, the Lockerbie documentary. I watched on it. It was interesting, quite sad, and quite harrowing, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
It's a very tragic event. But there was stuff there where you'd seen the guy convicted, and you just, you trust the justice system that the guy's actually in the wrong. But by all accounts, probably had nothing to do with it. The guy, who carried the sword, and Gaddafi has stated that there was more to it than there was. And by all accounts, that now appears that may very well have been the case. But we don't have those facts. And, well, I'm not going to nail my colours to the flag there, but certainly there was a lot happened there that we aren't privy to.
Yeah,
we'll probably get to a little bit in a second with Trump as well, anyway. But no, so yeah, I haven't watched the Lockerbie, the dramatization of it.
Yeah,
because largely because one of the main characters in that is a journalist, and that guy doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So he's an amalgamation of different journalists been put together to be this one guy, some protagonist, and that makes me uncomfortable right from the offing. If you're going to make, especially if you're going to make a drama about current events, and they are still current in real terms. They're in our lifetime, and although our lives are getting longer and longer by the day, they are still recent events in my mind. So I don't think you can you can piss around with the facts on that one.
It's frustrating at times when it says some scenes have been added and some characters have been added for dramatic effect, and you're a bit like, yeah, okay. If you're going to do it based on fact, then it should be based on fact. And I get and if that character was an amalgamation of lots of journalists and lots of different papers and back in there probably wasn't online, but newspapers and maybe magazines as such. Why not just say that in the docu series, in the dramatization, just say, I was contacted by or this and that, and for him to, because he was almost portrayed as a bit like a confidant of, was it Jim? Oh, I want to say Byrne, but it might not be Jim. Somebody anyway. I can't remember. But so he almost was like a confidant of his, and it's like I'm not so sure that is right, if that makes sense. So
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the documentary more.
Yeah. I generally find that anyway, to be honest with you.
I agree with you.
Yeah, the wife will say, do you want to stick this on? And I find myself drawn to documentaries more and more and more. I don't like dramatizations, especially of real life events. I'd rather just watch a documentary about it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But just going back to these pardons, there was one that really, really jumped out at me. If you're a fan of conspiracy theories, which we've got a podcast, so of course we're interested in, that's absolutely natural, and a lot of people are. So one of the people that Biden chose as with a preemptive pardon, was Anthony Fauci. The COVID guy, as we'll call him over here. He's our equivalent of Witty, yeah. But that really sort of troubled me. This guy's not accused of anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's not been charged with anything, and yet you took out a preemptive pardon. If you were a conspiracy theorist, you'd be thinking, "I knew I was right."
Yeah, so something's coming.
Yeah, well, it makes you bloody wonder, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm okay. I'm an anti-vaxxer. I've had that chucked on me before. I'm not. I didn't have that vaccine. I've had every other, so I'm not an anti-vaxxer. But you know what I mean? Even it makes me wonder, what have you done that for?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's asking questions that weren't being asked.
But again, it's and why do the people in power make the decisions that they make at the time they make them, and who knows? Who knows where they goes when the beer flows and stuff? But I think you can always question why decisions are made, and I know that But I do wonder whether or not they're obviously protecting something, or and obviously cue all the conspiracy theories out there. That they're protecting something, or someone, or some knowledge, or something underhand. Let's just say that.
I just think, like, so say tomorrow the worst thing that could possibly ever happen is I'll become president. Yeah, okay. And I say to you, Gaz, got you, son. I'm going to give you a preemptive pardon that will do you the world of good. You'd say to me, I haven't done anything wrong.
For what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I haven't done anything wrong. If you give me a pardon, it's just going to make me look guilty.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that guy yesterday could have walked down the street with absolutely no bother whatsoever. Today, he's running for his life, because people are like, what have you done? What are you hiding?
I just think it's a real strange decision.
I mean, I wasn't massively aware ahead of this that you could actually give a preemptive pardon.
I don't think you should be able to. I really don't. I don't care who you are or what you may or may not have done. You should be given a preemptive pardon. Let's trust the justice system to do the job right in the first place.
If you haven't done anything,
then you don't need a pardon.
You don't need a pardon. And if you have done something, then you're guilty. So therefore, you shouldn't have. Yeah, you shouldn't have a pardon.
Yeah, exactly.
So the bottom line is, you shouldn't have a pardon.
I can't get my head around it. When I mean, irrespective of it being Fauci or whoever it was, the idea of a preemptive pardon.
But surely the preemptive pardon is for something.
Yeah.
So
can't be carte blanche. Go on, son.
Well,
knock
that's what I
yourself
mean.
out.
That's what I mean. It's a preemptive pardon. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop a cap in my neighbour's ass and bump him off and bury him 6 foot under the patio. Oh, but I'm okay, so I've got a pardon, so that's all good.
Wow, how far it must be? It must be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
For something.
Yeah.
But you ump in COVID, and obviously loads of conspiracy theories about COVID, about where it started, how it started, why it started, who's responsible for the spread of it. They absolutely could contain it, but chose not to. Blah 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 blah. You know, just some wild theories. But some you look at and think, yeah, okay,
sense. Yeah.
But there has to be. He has to be responsible for something, some evidence, some research, some lab, some findings, whatever it is that he is then pardoned for in case that comes out. You can't. You shouldn't have a carte blanche preemptive pardon, and it shouldn't be a preemptive pardon for absolutely anything.
That's bizarre.
I just and as I say, genuinely, I didn't know you could do that.
No, it's the first I'd heard of it. Yeah, I've heard him. I chuckled at first. I thought this is going to be some kind of wild joke on 5 Live. It wasn't.
It ain't.
No, it wasn't. And what's happening with Joe Exotic? How come he's still in? You know what I mean? Every man and his dog's had a pardon apart from him, and he's the one who talks about it the most.
And we could have got him on.
We could, for $100. For $100, we could have done.
The time just didn't matter.
No,
and
I couldn't figure out how to record a conversation from Instagram Live either. To be honest with you, so
he could have been guest number whatever he could have been, but you never, maybe never say never. But
say never.
You never say never.
We'll wait till he's been pardoned and we'll learn about that experience. God, we'll laugh about it. I'd like to. I think I would like. If I was someone I'd like to see pardoned, it'd be Joe Exotic. I've got a degree of admiration for that bloke, not for the threatening some random woman in Florida and making inappropriate remarks about having her killed and then sending somebody to
kill her.
Kill her, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. But pardon him for which bit of all of those things.
Yeah. Let's find out whether he did it or not before we pardon him. In fact, let's not pardon him. Let's just give him a retrial, and if he's still guilty, then fair enough.
But you joke. You joke a couple of minutes ago. You have to put trust in your justice system, because otherwise, what's the point of having your justice system? There isn't any, and what you'll end up with is these lawmen going around and going, well, you can be pardoned, you can be pardoned, you can be pardoned, you can be pardoned, and effectively there's no justice system, because if you keep pardoning people not going through that system, then what's the point of the system in the first place? And that's sort of what I don't get.
No, I don't get it either. It's a strange one. But moving on, and it ties in a little bit with actually the Lockerbie bit that you read. The other bit that Trump said he's going to do is release information about JFK, about Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, about their assassinations. So, I mean, there's again, we're touching in the field of conspiracy theories. But when Trump got into office the last time around, he actually said he was going to release the JFK files, and then said, no, I'm not going to do it because there's stuff in there.
It'll cause outrage.
Yeah, cause absolute outrage.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to see, and I don't think the general public genuinely is ready for it.
And look, there's various things that conspiracy theories that you read about, and you can go from everything from ancient civilizations in Chichen Itza to JFK to Princess Di to the moon landings to whatever. But there are some things that even, and I say, our prime minister, but even the president of the United States is not privy to, because you've got that plausible deniability. So he doesn't know about it, because if he did, he would either have to action it, or then he can't deny it, if that makes sense. So there will be covert groups around, and again, without delving into conspiracy, maybe we need to do another conspiracy episode. We haven't done for ages, so
no, we do. We do.
But there will be very, very covert groups hunkered away within the American political system, and many, many others around the world that are, completing clandestine activities and this, that, and the other. And the president does have plausible deniability. He doesn't know about it. So, and I'm not suggesting this is one of them, but, Area 51, does he know exactly what's going on in Area 51?
I'm pretty sure Biden didn't.
Well, yeah, but but
you didn't know what he's fucking doing one day. One.
Well, he doesn't know what. Yeah, well, he can't even count to 51. Let alone know what's going on in Area 51. But yeah, but in terms of plausible deniability, if he doesn't know, then he can't answer questions on because he can genuinely go, don't know.
Yeah.
And there'll be lots of things that they don't know is going on. I wonder whether or not, in a way, I mean, obviously he's seen the JFK files, because for him to come out and say, actually, I've chosen not to because of what's in them, or because of the reaction of what's in them, that starts to race your mind and think, Christ, is it, was it a home shooter? Was it so effectively, did the FBI, the CIA, did they have anything to do with it? Was it a foreign power and they didn't want it? Was it, because ultimately, look, the bullshit story that's out there is just bullshit. So that magic bullet that went in here and it did this and it did this and then it did this and then it did this and then it did this,
that's difficult to swallow.
And even now, with present day technology, they still can't explain how that did that, if that makes sense. So then you talk, well, were the two shooters? Were the more than two? And how did the guy get from A to B? And if the guy, what was his name?
Lee Harvey
Oswald. And then you got, so Lee Harvey Oswald, how did he get from there to there? And then the guy that shot Lee Harvey Oswald was Jack Ruby.
Yeah.
So how did he know Harvey Oswald was there at that time, at that place? And then you just think, And I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and maybe not all around JFK, but
no, I mean,
but there's still some questions in that are like, not sure.
There's a lot to be answered there. Whether it is, as a lot of Americans believe that the CIA are responsible for killing JFK, maybe that isn't the case. Maybe that is the case. But while he's saying he's going to, if he doesn't release those documents again,
I'd read them.
I probably wouldn't understand them.
No, but I'd love to.
I need someone like
Joe
Rogan to explain it.
I'd need Turbo Radio to dissect them.
We need Dave back for that.
Yeah, somebody intelligent. But just, and I know it's a long time ago now, but I can't get over the logistics of how if the shooter was where everybody says the shooter was, the shooter on the grassy knoll, you can't have people that close with firearms. So why have they not and I know there maybe not like sensors and metal detection, gun detection, not, but you can't leave that to chance. It's the president of the United States, for Christ's sake. You can't leave it for chance.
Not when he's in a convertible car driving through the center of Dallas.
Just the very nature of that journey, the very nature of where we went. The very all of that, and again, but there's just so many of questions that, as an Englishman, looking in again from the outside, thinking, not sure that adds up, if I'm honest.
So, do you think he will? Do you think he will release that documentation like he said he will do?
Well, go back to minute one of this podcast, and I pretty much said he was a man of action. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely intrigued if he does, because he's a man of his word and he probably would want to. There has to be blowback. There has to be. If he does it, he can't possibly predict the blowback that's going to happen, because if you release it, and if I don't know, let's say the CIA was responsible for it for whatever reason, what does that mean?
The implications.
So then you start thinking, if that's the case, should there not be an inquiry as to who, when, why? And all of a sudden, all of these imponderables that you start thinking, well, if it was them, I'm not saying it was them, but if it was them, you're thinking, holy fuck, like, who was the guy that signed that off? Who was why did they sign it off? There's some serious implications for that. And if they knew who it was, and Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy, and Jack Ruby was whoever Jack Ruby was, there must have been a fucking shitload of people that knew what was going on. And again, it just asks the question why.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether or not Trump is he ready for that blowback? Because he's got nothing to do with it, obviously. But I don't know.
Is he ready for the blowback? Like it goes back to what we said. He hasn't got the threat of not having a second term in office. You know what I
No,
mean?
but what he has got is he has got the risk of, and I'm not quite saying mutiny as such, but is there I don't know what the Americans will call it. We will call it a public inquiry. So you would have the equivalent of if he does release it, you run the risk of then actually people lobbying for a public inquiry, whatever the Americans call that, where actually that then means that the state themselves have to investigate it, and effectively the CIA is government funded, so effectively the state are investigating the state. And how does that how does that work?
I don't see anybody's feet being held to the flames over that one. I think there's too much time passed. There's probably, like you say,
really for JFK. And I know it's
no. There's people been punished for it. You know what I mean? So Lee Harvey Oswald, who will be implicated regardless. I don't care what Trump's seen. That guy will be held responsible on some level as firing the bullet. Maybe not. Maybe
the only one, a bullet, maybe not the bullet,
a
bullet, but maybe not the, because there was talk at Lee Harvey Oswald like basically being like a shit shot.
That's not true though.
Well, that's the perception, and that's why they tried to pin it.
But this again, this goes. And listen, I could be way off the mark. Maybe I'm wrong on this one, and if I am, let me know. But this is where conspiracy theories get confused and get muddled and get a bad name as well. So in terms of that, so Oliver Stone made the film JFK, where he implied that Lee Harvey Oswald couldn't shoot for shit. Yeah. By all accounts, that the exact opposite was true. Actually, he was a very, very good marksman, and that information was misled and put in purely, again, like we talked about in the Lockerbie case, for
dramatic
effect. Which is a concern. So that, maybe I'm wrong on that one. Maybe that's just one of those lies that we've been led to believe, and Oliver Stone's name's been dragged through the mud on that one. But there's a serious implication for that. I just don't think anybody's feet will be held to the flames on it. I don't know what the statute of limitations is. Effectively, I don't know whether it's the equivalent and you'd have in the UK a bloody heresy when you're killing a president. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Serious. See, and like. So Bo has chipped in. So
evening, Bo.
Yeah, evening, Bo. Yeah, just starting it off with a gentle one there. The government is corrupt and always will be. Getting the information about JFK is a small step in fixing that. I totally agree. The one that I think is actually more concerning than JFK is potentially, especially because we've sort of said about Trump can be a little bit divisive, is Martin Luther King and the information, about his death in Memphis. That could potentially, well, we all know what the implications of that could be.
Yeah.
That's a serious concern. But I would love to see Trump release those files. Robert Kennedy, there's not too much known about that in the UK. It's not as widely publicized. I listened to the Tiddy and China show earlier in the week, and they spoke about that. Was it Sirhan? Was he the guy who's responsible?
Sirhan.
Yeah, so there was some talk about hypnosis being used on that guy and a change in his attitude before he did what he did. So I mean, that in itself could be quite explosive. So with those three cases, if they were released, and if the information is genuine that they share, there's a massive, massive, massive concern, isn't there?
There is, and again, your conspiracy theorists around will say, absolutely, people have the right to know, and blah 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 blah. Whether it actually dampens down a lot of conspiracy theories, because actually if you release the papers, people that think it was aliens from another planet, like, actually shit, it was Lee Harvey Oswald all along type thing. And it shuts down quite a lot of lines of inquiry, but actually the main ones that it then leads to are like, oh my God.
Well, here's the other thing though. They released
lizard people.
Yeah, the lizard people done it again. They released that information. Trump could have that information sat in front of him, could be 100% true. He could hand over 100% of it to the American public, to the British public, to the public of the world. But it's then down to us to believe it. We're told things by the media, by our government, by their government on a daily basis. who's to say it would get believed?
Well, that's the problem with effectively you took a propaganda. You believe what you're told, and this is the going back to one of the flat earthists that said sort of, you only believe it's round because you're told it's round, and you're only shown, and you're only shown it's round because in all the news footage and all of the videos that you see, and do you actually know that that's the case? Well, yeah, because I've seen footage from the space shuttle that show. But do you? Because you've been shown that by a news agency, and if you don't trust the news agency, how do you trust the information that's coming out of the news agency, etc., etc., etc.? So there still will be people that Trump could go, "This is 100% real, folks." Bang, there you go. And people are like, "Nah, fuck off," wouldn't they?
Yeah,
because it's still aliens. I know Trump said it is, but
that's the danger.
You'll always get people like
that's the danger. And Joe. So Bo's corrected me in effect. So Lee Harvey Oswald was a marksman in the Marine Corps, and he is, as Bo is a former Marine, he was the lowest level shooter in the Marine Corps. Better than the average person, but certainly not the best. So there you go.
No further questions, Your Honor.
No. So
thanks, Bo. Appreciate it. I knew we get on for a reason.
I retract my former statement. There we go.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the Oliver Stone. I vaguely remember there was a series of magazines. This is years ago, and I mean, God, like a long. And I'm sure they were called Conspiracy. They might not have been, but there was only like 12 episodes or series or whatever. And in each one, they visited like 2 or 3 different. It was a mint read. Like genuinely, it was like back in the day, you'd literally like you'd swallowing this up and like, oh my God, like, yeah, that's right. And they did like one of the moon landings. I digress, but they did one of the moon landings like, well, you can't have this, you can't have this. And we got shouted down, didn't we? There was a podcast this is probably really back in your infancy. And we were talking about like footprints on the moon. And I was like, there can't be a footprint on the moon because there's no moisture on the moon, and you need moisture to create footprints because it's the moisture that holds the footprint together. And then some random guy just messages like with all these facts, like, well, it's due to this and winds and temperature and this, and it's like, all right, okay, appreciate that. I still think it's a conspiracy theory, but yeah, fair enough. You know what I mean?
It's funny enough with that one, and to be fair, I'd noted down the moon landings to talk about because everything that's going on with SpaceX at the moment. I thought again, we're looking at the future,
yeah.
But also it has an impact on the past. In the same way that the JFK files will do. So yeah, so that guy did, and at the time, when you mentioned that, I was about to say, actually, MythBusters did a TV show about this where they recreated it and proved that all this stuff was conspiracy nonsense and that the moon landings actually happened. And then as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, hang on a moment. They recreated it all on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had exactly the same conditions. Did you really? Actually, you're in an atmosphere, so that can't be right to start with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I thought, as I was about to say, I thought, no, there's a flaw in my argument there.
Yeah. We're actually not on a moon. We're actually on Earth. And look, moon landings, and people believe or don't believe, and people are like, the moon landings were fake, and you'd have to have like everybody at NASA and everybody at Houston Mission Control and everybody, they'd all have to be in on it as well. Well, no, they wouldn't, because they would all think that genuinely you are sending somebody to the moon. The only people really that would be in on it would be the 3 astronauts, 2 of which I can remember the name, 1 I can't, but 3 astronauts, potentially like a handful of other people. And that's it, because everybody else at Houston Mission Control, all of that would have genuinely thought they were going to the moon.
Well, this is the thing. So just recently, and I'm stealing some stuff from social media, and I make no apologies for that. But they're celebrating the fact that Elon Musk, one of the intelligent and wealthiest, quite an intelligent man, and there's a reason why he's been put in charge of government efficiency as well, because he runs 5 companies and and has about 4 hours sleep a day. So I think he's a very bright.
Does he, or does he get people beneath him to do that?
Well, he does, but he has. Someone has to have the idea.
I suppose you have to. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's if that person was there having the idea in the first place, it would have happened. He's making these things happen, so I think we have to give him credit where credit's due. So in terms of that, we celebrated the fact that he managed to get 840 miles into space or something. Yet we're expecting that nearly 70 years ago, we're expected to believe. And I'm not one that necessarily doesn't believe in this, to be fair, that we managed to get as far away as, was it 200,000 miles to the moon or whatever the distance is.
There's more technology in that
That's just mobile phone, folks.
than sent man to the moon.
Yeah,
allegedly.
No, yeah, and that's true. And yet now we're still. To be fair, though, the other thing I thought as well, when you see, you've seen the footage of the rocket being caught,
which were Musk, yeah,
when it lands again.
Yeah,
if you'd seen that footage 10 years ago, you'd have said that's bollocks. That's not possible.
Yeah,
it's So what he's achieving is impressive, but at the same time, how close is he? Do you think from landing a man on the moon?
I mean, I don't. The simple answer is I don't know because, right, 60 years ago, man lands on the moon, give or take. Yet with the advancement in technology and the advancement in finance and everything else, we can't get anybody even remotely close to the moon. Really? And look, I believe that they tried. I believe that at the time there was a real space race and the Americans wanted to beat the Russians. I absolutely get that because of the Cold War and everything else and tensions between the countries, and there was a genuine space race and the Russians have sent up whatever the dog's name was. I want to say like Lakshi or something like that, but
yeah, with an L, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Laxa.
Cool. That's a soup, isn't it?
Oh yeah. If you're a bit bunged up, the dog could help.
But so the Russians sent the dog, and then they sent Gagarin and and the Americans were like, shit, we're behind here. Like we're way behind. We have to do something. And it just, I mean, this is back. I wasn't there clearly, but reading about it, looking at it, felt a bit rushed, as though like, okay, we have to do this. We have to beat them. And I'm not saying they fudged it, went, oh, let's just film it in a film studio, although allegedly that's where it was filmed. And what I can't get over is if we're looking at repopulating a planetary body, whether it be a moon or a planet, why are we looking at Mars, which is fucking miles away, when you've got a moon that's still miles away, but not fucking miles away? Now, I'm not saying they saw stuff or there's little green men running around on the moon or whatever, but surely the moon is as habitable as Mars is, or was, or because they found water on Mars, but they found evidence of water on the moon.
Yeah.
So why are we spending all the money trying to go to Mars when you've got the moon right there? And I can't get my head around. We've never been to the dark side of the moon. So why are we sending shitloads of stuff to the red planet instead of going all the way around the moon? Because you've never seen the dark side of the moon. Because the moon, the way it rotates, the way we rotate, you've never seen it. So there's always a dark side of the moon. Always.
Well, I know when we made this argument last time, Dave told us that China had actually sent satellites around and photographed it. And if you watch the recent documentary on Netflix, Apollo 13, if you believe, I sound like REM here, if you believe we put a man on the moon, they actually had to go all the way around the moon to come back. That happened. So if you believe those things, it's a big ask if you don't believe the fact we went there in the first place. There's some big asks that I'm asking here.
Oh, by the way, see you, Bo. Always a pleasure, fella, and look forward to the next time. But yeah, the moon landings. Weirdly, I'm not convinced, if I'm honest. Genuinely, I'm not.
I know you're not, and maybe we'll do a full episode on this because I know Tilly and China, certainly, Big Tilly's not convinced at all. He's not convinced. He's like you. I'm more inclined to believe it. And actually, I think the reason why we've not been back seeing what they need.
Yeah.
Who allegedly claimed on his deathbed to have faked it. But there's also just a story about Ron Howard. Do you know that one?
He was the producer for Apollo 13.
He was. Not only that, though, he wanted to get.
He was in Happy Days.
It wasn't Happy Days. Yeah, he was Richie Cunningham in Happy Days. So we can take his word for it
Yeah,
because he was friends with the Fonz.
Wow, how did we get there?
Oh, yeah, that's a very tenuous link. Well, no. So Ron Howard basically he wanted to make a film about the Apollo 11 moon landing, and he wanted to put it up there. And he says, this footage, this grainy grey footage, I want to work with it, or I want to make it look fantastic. And he said to his dad, "I'm going to go to NASA and I'm going to ask him for it." And he said, "Don't. I'm telling you now, you're wasting your time. They won't have that footage." And he says, No, I want to make it. I want to put it on the big screen because this is going to be incredible. This needs to be seen. It's a real marvel. His dad said, "Don't." It didn't happen. He was like, "Yeah, whatever." So he went to NASA and he came back 3 days later and said, "Yeah, we've lost the footage."
Wow. Yeah. Look, and I didn't know that actually, but look, if you're going to spend that much money and you claim to send somebody to the moon, if you've got that much technology to actually get you to the moon, you would have more footage of actually being there and what you've done and etc. etc. I can't get past, and I can't remember what the guy that poo-pooed all of my conspiracy theories said about the something about solar winds or something like the flag doesn't move, and like when you put the flag in, the flag is out, and they're like, well, it's starched. So it doesn't, and it's like
it's got a metal
it a
rod
pin?
across.
Is it got a
Yeah,
rod
there's
across
pin
it?
across the top. There is.
Right.
I've seen.
Is that right?
I've seen a photograph of what. Listen, if you don't believe it, then
Light
you're not
source-
going to
no,
believe.
exactly.
You're not going to believe the photograph. Of
Light
it, yeah.
source.
The light sources are questionable. They are questionable. I know, like, and Big Titty's question, where was the camera? Where was the camera? I could show you some. I've got my moon landing model up there. I could show you how the camera works on that. But at the end of the day, it's Lego. Are you going to really buy into it from my Lego story?
Right, my point of view is right. So I know. Let's use my beer can. So that's the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's the lunar module.
Yeah.
Light comes in from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of this side is dark, other than the 8 foot by 8 foot United States of America sign, which appears to be lit up massively like a beacon in the sky, and there's no other light source from that side. And then you look at length of shadows, and I vaguely remember reading something about, well, it's due to like the curvature of the light, and I'm like, oh, fuck off, and it's just like, really not convinced, if I'm honest. But look, as you said, if you don't believe it, you don't believe it, and if you do believe it, you do believe it, and you'll always talk about it. So, do I believe we went? I'm not convinced. I'm not. Although for the last 5 minutes, I probably sound like I am. I'm not
fairly convinced it didn't happen.
and look, I would like to think I know I'm a 51-year-old man. I would like to think I'm relatively an intelligent guy. And I'm questioning whether we actually landed on the moon or not. And I don't know. It's a simple answer.
It goes back to what Bo says. If the government is corrupt and you can't trust what the government tells you, how can we trust the people who told us that you went to the moon?
Yeah, and again, that that goes back to the flat earthers and the earth is round, and you're only shown pictures by news channels and this, that, and the other. And actually, if you don't trust them, big corps and big industry and all that, if you don't trust them, how do you trust the information that they're providing? So if you don't trust the government, how do you trust the information the government's providing? And it's a genuine question, and it's a genuine concern. But we have to do a conspiracy episode, dude. I'm going to try and find like backdated issues of those, like. There was stuff on like Bigfoot. There was stuff on like say Mayan technology, and it was amazing. I lapped it up back in the day.
Even just the pyramids. I mean, there's enough questions about the pyramids and how they got built, with the amount of blocks that they used to build them, and the time that they supposedly did it doesn't add up at all.
And what they've done is they've tried, even now, using technology like 2024, even though we're in 2025, but we're only just in 2020. But nowadays, up to date technology use lasers and this and that. the pyramids are, they're based on a constellation, aren't they? And the distance between the pyramids is exactly, when you extrapolate the distances between Earth and the stars, it's exactly the right distance, down to like 0.00000
Yeah,
whatever.
very
And you're
close.
like, how did they do that?
It's a question that, well, certainly there's no rational explanation for it. Like you say, to be able to create those pyramids now in the timescale that they allegedly built them in, we can't do it today. So how could they do it 4,000 years ago?
Little green men.
The lizard people.
And it could be the lizard people who could have lifespans of.
I don't believe in the lizard.
No,
people.
I don't believe in lizard people, and that's a conspiracy that I am happy to poo-poo. But yeah, I think the pyramids, and you talking about, the Mayans and the ancient civilizations. I think there's, you look at the Atlanteans and and allegedly they were the keepers of this great knowledge. Blah, blah. They foresaw whatever it was they foresaw, so then they chose to leave, and you're just like, I'm not convinced of that. What I am convinced about is, and I've probably said it before on the podcast, and genuinely I'm convinced of this. We have life on this planet, and we have all the constituent requirements for life. Statistically, we cannot be the only planet in the universe. Forget I'd probably say our solar system, but the universe that has that constituent of life. There has to be another planet or multiple other planets.
Yeah.
The other. So then, if you extrapolate that, you think, okay, so we've developed at a particular speed. We've gone from cavemen to where we are now in however many thousand years, tens of thousands of years. Who's to say that in this other planet that has the same constituents for life, that technology hasn't advanced much quicker than us, and then similarly much slower than us? So there will be a planet out there that is capable of interstellar travel, because we're not capable of that yet.
No.
But who's to say that this planet isn't? Similarly, there'll be other planets that are probably still at the ice age stage, if that makes sense. So I'm a massive believer that we probably have been visited. We probably don't know about it yet.
I agree. Statistically, there has to be. If it's a universe of infinite possibilities, to quote Dan Aykroyd in that film that I can't remember with Jeff Goldblum, that's irrelevant. But if there is an infinite universe of possibilities, then there has to be life form that exists out there. I agree with that. My question is, can it get here? Our best understanding, our best knowledge is that it's not possible to travel that length of time, that length of distance. And the guy who said this, he was the keyboardist in D-Ream, so we can take his word for it.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
Exactly, Brian Cox. I trust him.
Yeah, but who's to say that there isn't some? And I don't. Wow, I'm going to prove my massive lack of scientific knowledge now. But we only know physics as per Mr. Einstein. Thank you very much, or whatever. Who's to say that actually we're at the stage of evolution where, there was a while ago. This is years ago. We only thought there were 3 dimensions. Then we thought there were 4, and now there's fucking 11 or whatever. Who's to say that? Or 12? Can't remember. But maybe
there's nearly as many dimensions as there are genders.
Oh, yeah, exactly. yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't get me started on that.
We won't start on that one. Too late in the episode.
But in terms of light speed, we understand light speed to be how fast light can travel, and a light year is how far it would take light to travel in that year. Who's to say that that there aren't civilizations out there that can travel faster than light speed? Because and this is going to sound really stupid to the scientists out there, but is it on some sort of weird quantum level? Is it on some sort of weird like wormhole level, just go through various bits of the your cells back in exactly the same place at another tap. Not going to happen.
No.
But why do you say that? But then, can you travel faster than light? We can't. But who's to say, and I don't know, like light speed. So we're going to go through light speed. So, we're going to hit the hyperdrive or whatever.
Hey,
and you go,
Chewie.
Exactly. But who's to say that isn't the case? And for me, the imponderable is the unknown. So we don't know that. So you can't rule it out just because you don't know it. And when you look at the universe and you extrapolate the infinite possibilities in terms of planets and gases and whatever the constituent elements of life are, and to coin a really corny phrase, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it. They might not be oxygen breathing. They might not be this. They might not be that. We just don't know that. They might have, they might have evolved to be able to reproduce without oxygen, without this, without that, or we just don't know.
We don't. Again, that's where human fascination begins, is where understanding ends, isn't it? Let's be honest. Where we understand what's going on is a bit dull on a daily basis. Where we have the questions, that's the area of interest, and we look forward to hearing those answers. I've got a few answers for a few questions though. In terms of Tallboy Radio, what can we expect for 2025? Well, we do have a few episodes planned in already. We have our 5th anniversary episode coming up in a couple of weeks, actually.
5 years.
5 years, and we're joined by one of our favorite guests. So far in January, actually, the only guest that we had organized that we've never had on before was for tonight, and she cancelled. So
it's a good start.
Yes, it's been a fantastic start. But I'm not too bothered about that because the guests that we do have been quality. And Vic Ferrari is going to join us for our 5th anniversary special.
Can't wait. I got to know Vic. We got to know Vic, via the podcast, and follow him on social media now. And he's made a massive splash in terms of the sort of podcasting, and he's got his own podcast now, and he has some unbelievably good guests and stories, and
not only that, he's good enough to tee us up with some of them as well.
Can't wait for that one as well, by the way.
Yeah, we're not going to say too much about that, but the week after Vic, we've got a very special guest organised by Vic himself.
Yeah, if you like Vic, you'll like this guy, and I don't want to give too much away, but to say I'm looking forward to it is a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about having Vic on as well. So he's going to be talking about his podcast. He's going to be talking about his book. His latest book is called Presumption and Dysfunction, another NYPD story. But yes, I have bought it, and yes, we will be looking at that and discussing it. And just hearing some more, just chatting to Vic. It's worthwhile just having him on because he's an all-round good guy.
Oh, he's class, and we were worried about him at one point when there were various storms ripping through the Floridian coast and stuff, and we reached out to him and said, "Oh, hi Vic, hope you're all okay." And he goes, "Hi boys," and it's like, yeah, just top man. Got to know him, through our podcast. Been on 3 times, 4 times.
This might be his 5th appearance.
Oh, okay, 5th appearance to go with our 5th year anniversary. There, it's almost as if we planned it.
It's almost. Actually, I think it's 6 now. Think about it.
Oh, okay. God damn it!
But we're entering into our 6th year.
Correct.
So it still works.
It still works. But no, so yeah, and look, for me, 2025, we said probably a couple of years ago, we'd love to do more outside broadcast and take TB on there. And we've said it for the last couple of years, and it's just not happened. And probably because like family and wives and kids and stuff got in the way, sort of thing. And I think it was left up to me and Beans, we'd be like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just go out every weekend and record. It'd be mint.
Yeah, well, it'd be chaos, but it'd be mint.
Yeah. But hey, I don't mind chaos every now and then.
We'll try. It's on the books. We want to try for 2025. Is it planned? No, of course.
No, not yet. No.
But we'll have a go. Some of the things that are planned though. So the ADHD episode, we will do that. It's important. It's a sensible topic that we need to talk about. We'll touch base. I don't have a date for that one yet, but I do have a guest that has been again set up by. So We have Vic Ferrari, booking agent. Steve now, he's now a booking agent for us as well. He's finding people for us. So it's making my life a lot easier as a booking guest now that Dave's not here.
Work smarter.
He is
not,
coming back, by the way.
Work smarter, not harder.
Amen. The other thing, so Andy is going to be coming back for at least one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you suppose?
Beer.
Yeah, beer. Yeah. I said to Andy, what happens if we try the world's strongest beer? And he said, yeah, I'm up for that. I know you'd be pleased.
Marvellous. Does it have to be on a Tuesday night? Can we not do it on a non-work
I
night?
think we should aim to do it on a non-work night.
I think we should aim to do it on a non-work night because we've done Boozy Ramblings 1 and 2 and
I've looked and there's a 2-pack and they're not sure.
he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, we'll do an episode.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we'll contact him when we get the Boo Brothers back on. But yeah, so there's a 2-pack of beer you can get, and it's 100 quid for two, I think 330 ml bottles of beer. One of them is 75%, and the other's 80 odd percent.
Oh, do you know?
I know, so that should be interesting. So we're going to do that. We're going to taste test the 2 strongest beers. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
What could
Well,
go
to be fair, there's a damn sight that could go wrong.
Pretty obvious what's going to go wrong.
Particularly when we start drinking lots of other things in and around that as well. But
Exactly.
yeah, that's a definite either. For me, obviously, I'm in education, so for me, it's either it's during a holiday period or it's a non-Tuesday night.
It's going to have to be a weekend, that one. or a
Yes, I
Friday
believe so.
night.
Yeah, a Friday night or a Saturday night. Yes.
The other thing, I ordered it. If you're on social media over Christmas, certainly on Instagram anyway, especially if you're a nerd like me, there was an advert for a game called Heroes of Barcadia. Did you see it at all, Gaza?
No, definitely.
To be honest, I'm really disappointed because it was what Come At Me Bro could have been in many ways.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a board game where you set what effectively are beer mats out, and it's a role playing game,
Okay.
and your characters are on a beer glass, and your power is measured out down the side, and you drink it as you get.
Nice.
You can see how that could translate to
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I was good. Yeah, I thought, wait, why didn't I think of that? It's a way better idea. I might write to them and try and sell them the idea, but I have ordered it anyway. It's on its way from the States. It's hit UK immigration. I ordered it New Year's Eve, funnily enough. It's still not bloody turned up yet. But yeah, so that's something that we'll do. We'll have a game of that on Tallboy Radio. We've done episodes on role playing in the past, but I think this could kick it up a level. We will.
Is that another non-work night?
It might have to be, so I'm not going to put beer in there. We'll do Baileys.
Hey, I don't mind Baileys. That's
Down in a pint of
absolutely
Baileys.
fine. I haven't quite done a pint before, but one drunken evening when me and my good wife came over to Beans and his good lady, and we ended up drinking Baileys. And effectively, we were just drinking half pints of Baileys. It was lush.
Yeah, it was. Maybe not Baileys actually, because that's just going to knacker my cholesterol level.
Yeah, but you know, you'll die happy. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But no,
yeah. That on the podcast live.
Beans was like, for me, I mean, there's a couple of things, and it takes a lot of work. You know what I really, really, really want to do?
What?
I want to set another world record. Really do. I don't know what it is. Look, we were double world record holders, and now we're only a world record holder. There has to be something else out there that we can do.
Would it be darts?
It doesn't have to be, although I'm not aware of the world record for the most trebles hit in a 24-hour period. We've done doubles because we are the world record holders.
It has been registered.
Trebles, has it?
It's been registered by me.
Oh, has it? Have you done it?
Yeah, I put a claim on it. Yeah.
Go on, dude.
So
we're definitely going to do that. Yeah, because we need to be world record holders again.
We need. I mean, they emailed me back probably about 18 months ago. To be fair, when I registered it, to do the trebles, and said, "Look, we need the details, and then we'll set your target." And I've not got back to him since, but I paid the fee, so we're
definitely doing that then. Because the last one we did, we absolutely hammered the doubles that they gave us, and there is a world record for the number of bulls, but that's ridiculous. There's no way we're going to do that. But yeah, trebles. So I think we need to set a new world record, dude.
Yeah, I think so.
And we'll pick a charity and we'll try and raise some money for it and this, that, and the other. We'll do that.
We'll get the gang back together, as it were. I think we have a WhatsApp group with all those people in it.
Really?
Yeah, it sits right the way down there.
Yeah. And the other thing is, looking further afield. I think we obviously potentially have got a trip to London for the NFL booked at some point.
What do you say? That?
Croke Park or
Croker Park.
Croke Park, yeah, Croke
Yeah.
Park, yeah.
I think so.
That would be mint.
Oh, that could be interesting. Trip
Because
to-
to be fair, I know we're over time now, but I looked at the teams that are coming over to the London games. Fucking shite.
Oh, who's
Oh,
coming?
mate, it's garbage. It's obviously the Jags, the Browns. Who's somebody else that's shit? Don't say the Bears.
I mean, to be, you can't.
We are
argue-
shit.
You,
Yeah,
you couldn't argue.
Although
that
we have just had a new head coach. I can't think, but it was a bit like, oh, really? Like there was no headline games at all. It was like, really, yeah, really disappointing. So I'm not quite sure. What we really need to do is either go to Mexico or to Germany and watch one of the NFL games there, because that would be me. But I think that might be slightly out of our. But Ireland is an option.
Ireland could well be an option. So if that turns out to be true, strong rumors on a lot of the NFL channels on Facebook saying that this is happening. We'll believe it when we see it. But as Gaz said, we're over the hour mark. I'm not going to sign off. I'm going to let Gaz sign off because 200 episodes of Gaza.
I might look 200 years old. I might feel 100 years old, but I'm absolutely looking forward to the next 200. The last 200 have been an absolute blast. The next 200, I can't wait to see what happens. And as we always say when we close the podcast, let's look forward to next week when we'll be talking about something completely different.